Hey, what's good, everyone? It's dashon.j. I got a wild statement for you. You don't you don't own a damn thing, not your car, not your house, not even you. Sounds crazy, right? But trust me, stick with me for the next few minutes and you'll see how deep this runs. Coming from where I'm from, I've learned the hard way that everything we think we own can be snatched away in a heartbeat by banks, by cops, by the system, or even by your own bodies giving out. This is a reality check we all need. Let's start with the basics. We're taught from day one that we should want stuff like shoes, phones, a crib, a car, and we brag about it like it's ours. But is it true? If we're still making payments, the bank can repo that car, miss enough mortgages, and your home, sweet home, goes back to the lender. Listen, this system pushes consumer culture on us. Buy this, buy that, like it'll solve our problems. But we rarely question whether we truly own these things. All it takes is one crisis, like a job loss, a medical emergency, and boom, that stuff is owned. That stuff you own is gone. Debt runs the show, credit card, loans, all these fancy payment plans. We're living on borrowed money. You might have a nice car sitting in your driveway, but until the payment's done, you don't really own nothing. Even after you pay it off, try not paying insurance or registration. See how long you can drive that car without the state stepping in. I seen homies lose everything overnight. A friend of mine's, let's call him Will, had a decent place, steady gig. COVID hit, job shut down, and he missed a few mortgage payments. In less than a year, that home wasn't his anymore. That's how quick it can vanish. So the illusion is that you own your possessions. Reality is you're renting from the banks or the government. They can come collect anytime you slip. But this is just level one. Let's talk about the bigger system that makes sure we never truly own squat. It's not just about banks and lenders. We're dealing with a system designed to keep up us running on hamster wheels, always chasing enough money to keep our stuff. Let's break it down. Even if you fully pay off your house, you own property tax every year. Stop paying. The county seizes the home. Same with your car. Don't renew your registration or get that inspection. You can't legally drive it. That's basically renting from the government. The system says you're free, but you got to follow 1,000 of rules about what you do with your properties, what to build in the extra room, zoning laws, want to raise chickens in your backyard, might need a permit. Everything's got a fee, license, a hoop to jump through. Corporations own so much land, real estate, intellectual property. We're just playing in the sandbox. They set prices, policies, and we either pay up or miss out. That goes for streaming services to farmland. Think about your phone. You paid $1,000 for it, but guess who controls the software updates? Apple or Google. They decide what apps are allowed, how your data is used. If they want it, they can remotely block it, slow it down, or cut the service. We bring about owning the latest phones, but we don't own the data. We don't control the network. We can't fully modify the device. So who's really in charge? We're consumers, but they still have the final say. Growing up, I watch people hustle to buy a piece of something, land, a store, but they'll get drowned by taxes, regulations, or bigger fish coming in. The system is set up so you never truly hold all the cards. But hey, maybe you say, at least I own a home and land, all right? Let's explore the myth next, because even land's not really yours. Get ready, we're going deeper. Owning a home is the American dream, right? But let's peel it back a couple layers. You got mortgage, you got property taxes, you got insurance, There's always someone else with a stake in your so-called property. Property tax is the biggest hustle. You pay your mortgage off after 30 years. Congrats. How you got to pay property tax until you die? And if you can't afford it someday, the government can auction off what you own. That's renting from the country, basically. Eminent domains is when the government decides they need your land for a highway or some public good. They'll force you to sell. You might get paid, but you don't get a choice about leaving. So who really owns it? Homeowner associations can fine you for painting your house the wrong color. Zoning laws can restrict you how you can use your property. Maybe you want to run a small shop out your garage. Guess what? Might be illegal without special permits. So it's limited at best. One job loss, one health crisis, and you're behind mortgage payments. The bank swoops in, takes the house, sell it for profit. Years of your life paying into the place gone in weeks. This system doesn't care about you, it cares about the money. I remember a family on my block, they'll spend their whole lives saving for a small home. A couple of missed payments during a tough year, they lost it. Now owned by some investors renting it out for double. That's how quick your dream can flip. So yeah, even a home and land you think is yours isn't really under your full control. Next, we're gonna dig into something deeper. You, because if you think you own your own self, let's talk about that. Now, here's the real mind blower. You might say, "Oh, fine, I don't own stuff, but I own myself." Well, do we? In a world where our body, our identity, and our choices are constantly regulated, it's questionable. In some places, you can't get certain medical procedures without government approval, or you're forced into legal reasons. You can't legally use certain substance, even if it's your body. They lock you up if you do. Your body gets sick, you get new treatment, but if you don't have the right insurance or enough money, you might not get it. So you can't even decide for yourself what care you receive, or you're broke. Hospitals want the money before saving your life. In my countries, in many countries, if the government decides they can draft you into the military, that means your body and your life can be conscripted. You have no say. Think about that. They can literally force you to fight in wars. So do you really own yourself? We're assigned social security numbers, ID cards, passports, none of which we control. If the government wants, they can revoke your passport, freeze your bank accounts, restrict travel. That's not freedom, that's permission. Even in your own name, did you pick it? Your parents or your guardians did. The state recognized it. If you want to change it, you got to pay fees, file papers, get approval. Now you see how everything is licensed and monitored. For some, your possessions to your physical self, the system has claimed. Next, let's talk about how society trains us from birth to set the shackles. This so-called cradle to grave control. We're all born in a system that claims to take care of us, but the flip side is they mold us to follow the rules. This starts young. We're taught to ask permission for everything. From kindergarten, we learn to stand in line, raise our hand, ask to go to the bathroom. That trains us to obey. We're taught to memorize answers, not to question the system. We graduate ready to fit into the structure of the 9 to 5 job, pay taxes, obey laws. At birth, you get a social security number like a product code. Everything you do from schooling to work to medical care is tied into that. They track your earnings, your address, basically your whole life story. Then we enter the workforce where taxes come straight out your check. You never even see the money. The government dips your hand in there before you even do. Sounds like there's a part owner of your own labor. When you're old, you rely on social security pensions. Again, systems don't control. Even funerals has to meet legal requirements and cost structures. They'll tell you how to bury your own body. All this hammered into us so we accept it as a normal. We end up not questioning the fact where we rent it out to a system from birth. It's heavy, I know. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, I saw the system tried to correct us. Cops on every corner, strict teachers with no resources, so-called guidance counselors who push you to low-paying jobs. But it's all part of the bigger plan. Keep us in line, keep us needing them. So if you don't own your own stuff, your own body, or even your own path, how do we cope with that? That's what we'll dive into next, because even if we can't change everything, there are ways to maneuver. All right, so we've been dropping some heavy truth. If you're feeling hopeless, I get it. I've been there, angry at the system, depressed because it felt like I had no say. But here's what I learned. Even if you don't own it all, we can find meaning and peace. Step one is accepting reality. The system bigger than us. We don't own most of the things we think we do, but that doesn't mean roll over and give up. Acceptance is just acknowledging the truth. Control might be limited, but you can shape your mindset, your reactions, your values, and your relationships. You can build skills, help communities, or express yourself creatively. These are areas no one fully takes from you. Sometimes the best move is to own less. If you accept you never really own your stuff, you might stress less about getting more of it. A simple life can bring peace, less debt, less chasing illusions. Keep it basic and focus on experience, not just possessions. In tough neighborhoods, we always survive by leaning on each other, watching each other kids, sharing food, bartending. There's real ownership and community spirit, not of things. Find your circle, build trust, create a support system. The final thing is eternal freedom. Even if I can't own my own house or my body subject to laws, I can own my mindset. I can choose to keep dreaming, to creating, to live with dignity. That's something no government, no bank could fully rob me from. Now, we talk about the illusion and how to cope. Let's close out by exploring if there's any real shot at true freedom in a world where you don't own nothing. We'll see what that looks like and if it's even possible. Here we are in the last stretch of these couple of minutes that I've been here, deep into the truth that we don't really own anything, not even ourselves. But let's end on a forward thinking note. Is real freedom possible? What can that even look like? Maybe freedom isn't about owning everything. Maybe it's about detachment from the idea that possessions or official documents define us. Freedom might be living in a way where the system can't break your spirit. That's a shift in how we see success. One lane is building multiple income streams like side hustle, freelancing, and investing. If you can't own property, maybe you can stack capital or skills. With each new skill or hustle, you become a little less dependent on any employer or system. I've seen people in my neighborhood break free by telling their stories through art, music, or media. Their words travel the world, building influence that the system can't easily control. That's a form of freedom. Leaving a legacy that's bigger than a piece of paper saying you own something. Some folks try living off a grid, forming co-ops. That's a commitment, not easy, but it's a way to step outside the mainstream. If you're done with the illusion of ownership, you might explore alternative living. But remember, the system can still come in knocking. For some, it's about faith or physiology. Belief that is life is temporary. If everything's temporary, we don't own it anyway. People find peace in the perspective. Focus on moral, spiritual growth, not chasing an illusion. So, do we own nothing? Facts say yes, but does that mean we're powerless? Hell no. We can still claim our dreams, our relationships, our creativities, and our mental freedom. The system might hold a recipe. The system might hold a recipe on our material stuff, but it can't fully own our soul unless we let it. Look, I ain't here to tell you everything's hopeless. I'm telling you to wake up. We fight smarter when we recognize the cage. We find ways around it, under it, through it. Maybe you can't break all the bars, but you can slip through the cracks if you're clever enough. I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment, share your experience with